Hi, a warm welcome to all of you. Welcome to Still Leaves, the channel that shares knowledge for holistic self-development through books. Have you ever had an experience like this? Today you feel very happy because your work efficiency was very high all morning. You were focused and handled an important task, the result was very satisfying, and you didn't feel tired at all. Or when reading a book or doing something you really love, you put your whole mind into it, forgetting everything around you. Time also seemed to stand still, and after you finished, you felt an immense sense of joy. Psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi calls this state of self-forgetfulness the optimal experience, or flow. He explains the concept of flow in detail as follows. When an individual is completely focused on an activity, a feeling of exhilaration and deep satisfaction appears. At this moment, every action and thought of the person is smoothly connected like a flowing stream of water. Potential is also maximized. Flow is the catalyst on each person's path of development. When you are highly focused and enter the flow state, you will meet an incredibly powerful version of yourself. If you are on the path of wanting to improve and develop yourself, I believe this book will be truly essential for you. Perhaps now you're wondering, Still Leaves already shared about the book Flow before, right? Yes, that's right. But today is a special episode. I will once again talk about this state. There are two reasons why I am creating more content about one book. First, many of you have sent messages asking Still Leaves to share more about how to apply the flow state in life. The second reason is that Flow is an outstanding psychology book, a scientific work that summarizes the lifelong research of psychologist Mihaly, so it may require us to reread it many times. The previous video about this book was made during the early days of the channel, with short content and sound that wasn't perfectly refined. Therefore, I decided to make a new video to provide a better experience for everyone. If the previous video was about how to be truly happy, this new video will focus on sharing how to develop yourself using the optimal experience of flow. Now, please listen to Still Leaves' sharing titled, The Fastest Way to Upgrade Yourself Through the Modern Psychology Masterpiece, Flow. Flow. Enter the door of concentration. Return to yourself. The author of the book, Limitless, Jim Quick, conducted a survey and found that most successful CEOs report that they can regularly maintain a peak state. During these times, their work performance is 4 times higher than average. This peak state is precisely the flow experience. In the book, the author mentions a case like this, a regular worker on an assembly line in a factory. He found his job very boring. When at work, he was always distracted, thinking about unrelated things, such as worrying about a flat tire, being concerned about the broken electrical appliances at home, or even remembering rumors he had just heard. He often couldn't keep up with the pace of his colleagues. Subsequently, his supervisor criticized him and deducted his pay. His work was not going smoothly at all. In contrast, there was another worker. This person really enjoyed the work he was doing. Compared to sitting around chatting or daydreaming, he felt that coming to the factory every day was very interesting. When immersed in his work, joy would arise, motivating him to constantly think about how to find ways to complete the work faster and better. Normally, to assemble a unit of components took about 43 seconds. However, to break the record, every day he strived to focus with utmost concentration to practice. Gradually, he was able to easily maintain his focus, even being completely unaffected by the conversations and jokes around him. Finally, in a state of no distraction, he shortened the assembly time down to 28 seconds, receiving recognition and praise from his superiors. Therefore, to develop ourselves, we need to find a way to counter entropy by increasing the frequency of the flow state experience more often and more regularly. And the first core element here for you to be able to enter the flow state is complete concentration. The first book I chose to share on Still Leaves was Deep Work. Right after that was the book Flow, because the content of these two books almost complements each other. The deeply intertwined lesson between these two books lies in intense concentration. When you practice complete focus on one thing, it can be said that almost every bottleneck in your life will be resolved. You can enhance your own capabilities, turning it into a core, irreplaceable ability. And even your life will be much happier. This is not an exaggeration. I will use my own process of training my ability to concentrate over many years to share with you. Therefore, to develop ourselves, we need to find a way to counter entropy by increasing the frequency of the flow state experience more often and more regularly. And the first core element here for you to be able to enter the flow state is complete concentration. The first book I chose to share on Still Leaves was Deep Work. Right after that was the book Flow, because the content of these two books almost complements each other. The deeply intertwined lesson between these two books lies in intense concentration. When you practice complete focus on one thing, it can be said that almost every bottleneck in your life will be resolved. You can enhance your own capabilities, turning it into a core, irreplaceable ability. And even your life will be much happier. This is not an exaggeration. I will use my own process of training my ability to concentrate over many years to share with you. If you have listened to the sharing about the book Deep Work, you will see that there are 4 strategies that can be applied to help a person concentrate intensely. The first strategy, the rhythmic strategy. In this strategy, we will schedule a fixed time to concentrate fully, like a daily habit. For example, spend 90 minutes every morning without using your phone and concentrate wholeheartedly on your work. If any worries arise, write them down on paper, fold it, and tell yourself you will not think about it and will focus completely during the designated time. The next strategy is the bimodal strategy, which means we will divide our time between deep work and shallow work, alternating between them. For example, spend 4 days focusing completely to solve an important task, and the remaining 3 days will be for trivial tasks that require less intense concentration. The third strategy, the monastic strategy. In this strategy, we will be like monks, cutting off all contact with the outside world, isolating ourselves in a separate environment. This strategy is often suitable for people in creative professions. I have applied all 3 of these strategies, but in the end, I found that the most difficult but also the most effective strategy is the journalist strategy. Practicing this strategy will help us to have the flexibility to switch into a state of high concentration, doing deep work at any time in our schedule. When you can execute this strategy, your ability to concentrate will become stronger than ever, helping you achieve high performance, have a deep connection with all activities through intentional consciousness, and live a life that is more fulfilling moment by moment. Previously, I was a person who found it very difficult to concentrate if there was noise around me. I needed to lock myself in a quiet corner to be able to work and read effectively. However, when I moved to a new living, studying, and working environment, I no longer had large blocks of time in the day to be able to concentrate absolutely. I had to juggle studying, working, reading books, and writing content. Everything became a big challenge for me. I believe many of you have also faced similar challenges, because life today has fragmented our time too much. Therefore, training the ability to concentrate intensely at any time is really very important. The way that helped me do this was to cultivate mindfulness. Mindfulness in eating, mindfulness in walking, mindfulness in brushing my teeth, getting dressed. Any action in my daily life, I considered it an opportunity to connect more deeply with every moment around me. Mindfulness means that we bring our consciousness to be present in every action we are doing right in the present moment. The teacher I have followed is Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh. By reading all of his books guiding mindfulness, I then practiced every day, reminding myself to be mindful in every word. Every time I felt tired or was dealing with anger, I also needed to be mindful. When you have focused attention on the present in every daily task, gradually you will find it easy to concentrate fully on your work at any time. And if you can concentrate your mind completely, you will experience the joy of self-forgetfulness. Then, as mentioned in the book Dopamine Nation that I shared at this point, the here and now molecules along with dopamine, the molecule of reward anticipation, will cooperate, making you want to repeat that experience again. The higher the concentration, the greater the satisfaction, leading to a positive cycle. Gradually, you will notice that you are no longer distracted by the complex things out there, no longer affected by irrelevant information. This advanced and immense joy from within acts as a booster shot, helping you resist the chaos of the outside world, and also helping you escape from internal turmoil. Any task or action in this life requires you to step through the door of concentration and return to yourself. And this is the first thing I want to share with you so that you can easily concentrate and immerse yourself in the flow state, thereby improving work efficiency, helping yourself develop untapped potential, progress continuously, and especially helping you to deeply experience great inner joy. Besides building intense concentration for yourself, the second core element for you to experience the flow state is being able to wholeheartedly do one thing. However, the question here is what kind of work allows us to be easily wholehearted. The author has pointed out that the flow state only occurs when you do a job that is not too difficult and not too easy for you. If it's too hard, you'll give up. If it's too easy, you won't be interested. The book, Awaken Your Awareness, emphasizes that the best zone for learning and growth is at the edge of the comfort zone. This means you need to step out of your comfort zone. Give yourself a little challenge, but don't go too far. Instead, work in the vicinity of comfort. These are things you can easily control, where the action happens naturally and smoothly. Then, during the process, you will feel comfortable, not frustrated. When you finish, you will receive feedback quickly and have a sense of satisfaction. The feeling of satisfaction here is not just superficial, like, "Oh, I'm so happy I finished." It has to be a deep satisfaction that comes from within. This means the work you are doing must achieve a harmony between your mind and your actions. It doesn't cause internal conflict within you. For example, if you force yourself to make a lot of money through a job that, deep down, you don't approve of, you feel disgusted by the way it operates to attract people to spend money on your company's products, then even if you excel at all the metrics, you won't feel deep satisfaction. You only achieve temporary satisfaction due to the release of dopamine, which makes you continue to strive for higher status and more respect from others. But when you achieve those things, you will still feel empty in the end. As the author says, chasing insatiable greed will never help us achieve the flow state. Therefore, choose a job that is not dominated by desire, a job that is challenging but not too difficult. Then you can be wholeheartedly into your work. Combined with intense concentration, you will have the feeling that time has disappeared, forgetting even yourself, as if you are flowing along with a stream. This is precisely when you are experiencing the flow state. However, some might wonder, that's only for enjoyable jobs. For jobs I don't like, no matter how hard I try, it won't work. I really like a quote from The Work and of Green Gables. If you decide to have a fun time, you can always have a fun time. On the other hand, if from the beginning you think something is not fun, then things will never be fun. The author advises finding what you love and are passionate about. You will be able to be wholeheartedly and easily enter the flow state. In reality, if you have the opportunity to do work that you are passionate about, that is an incredibly lucky and wonderful thing. Take advantage of it and continue to develop it. But surely, not everyone in this world can easily do the work they love. In this case, when you don't know what you like or haven't found your ideal job, it's best to, as the book The World is Worth It says, if you can't change your destiny, it's better to love your current job. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi also concluded that when you can stop caring about what happens outside and just change the content of your inner consciousness, you can also decide whether to be happy or sad. That is, even in the most ordinary job, as long as you can completely focus on it and create flow experiences, you can also make it interesting and meaningful for yourself. In other words, negative emotions and behaviors like boredom, lethargy, and laziness are not caused by the event itself, but by the false beliefs arising from your own perception and subjective judgments about that event. In fact, when faced with a job you don't like, you can still find joy in it as long as you satisfy the following two conditions. The first condition: start with a positive mindset. Stop complaining. Stop viewing the job only as a burden or a difficulty. The second condition: tell yourself that you like this job. For example, if you are afraid of math, to improve the situation, as the book Learning How to Learn says, you must first change your belief. Think that math is not scary at all and that you love it. Or, as the book Tiny Habits points out, before forming any habit, first establish an identity for yourself. Imagine that you are an expert in that field. Your identity will automatically guide you through your fears and then help you form positive behaviors. This is also similar to a technique that Mihaly introduced, which is to daydream. The daydreaming the author refers to is not the vague, unrealistic kind, but a purposeful psychological self-suggestion. In many successful people, we see the power of self-suggestion. A typical example is Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time. He is 1.98 meters tall. When he was in high school, his height was only 1.75 meters, and he was once not selected for the school's basketball team because he was too short. Jordan's father was of average height, and his siblings were not tall either. From a genetic perspective, it seemed Jordan didn't have the potential to be tall. But he was extremely passionate about basketball and would quietly tell himself that he had to get taller, taller, taller. Every day he longed to grow taller, and so he tried every possible way, like jumping rope, hanging from a pull-up bar, and eating a nutritious diet. Not long after, a miracle happened. Within a year and a half, his height increased rapidly from 1.75 to 1.92 meters. After that, he easily joined the school basketball team, starting his career, and everything went smoothly. You'll see that learning how to daydream correctly is about imagining, self-suggesting, and then taking action. Without action, imagination is just a delusion. Effective self-suggestion must have clear goals and require a step-by-step plan for implementation. These factors will help you to work wholeheartedly and easily enter the flow state. The final way to help us enter the flow state is to discover flow in solitude. After thousands of case studies, the author Mihaly came to a conclusion. A person who knows how to find the flow state in life, even in the most desperate circumstances, can find joy. In the book, there is a case of a woman in her 60s like this. After her husband passed away, and her grown children all had their own lives, she lived alone on a deserted island. The impermanence of life and death, combined with the loneliness and silence, made her feel extremely helpless. She often sighed or burst into tears, missing her husband and children. During long, endless nights, she tossed and turned, unable to sleep, feeling that every minute and every second was particularly difficult. Then, to relieve her pain, she began to read books of all kinds that her husband had left on the bookshelf, and she wrote or drew her thoughts. Unexpectedly, the rich stories and perspectives led her into an incredibly vast spiritual world. In this world, she could forget time and overcome her sorrows. These rich and wonderful experiences helped her rekindle her passion for life. Besides reading and writing, she also planted flowers and trees and raised livestock near where she lived. She also used a board to write jokes she created or draw maps to her house. She no longer had wandering thoughts, nor was she swept away by negative emotions. Her soul became stronger and stronger. Although she still lived alone, she did not feel empty and helpless, because flow continuously filled the voids in her soul, helping her avoid unnecessary wear and tear. Besides that, it also led her to experience a life of both intellectual and spiritual growth at the final stage of her life. You will see that loneliness is actually an opportunity that allows us to most easily discover the state of flow. Schopenhauer once said, "Only when a person is alone can they be themselves." When we are alone, we have the opportunity to allow ourselves to be calm, focus on one thing, and enjoy the pleasure. This solitude is a type of high-quality solitude. However, in today's information explosion era, most people don't know how to be alone, let alone enjoy solitude. When alone, many people have to pick up their phones, watch a movie, or play games to fill the void in their soul. Your mind is also constantly agitated by anxieties. The author says the main reason here is that we lack strong internal discipline. Year after year, we become lazy, psychic entropy becomes increasingly disordered and severe. And to counter entropy, we need to focus and enjoy solitude by adding interesting colors to life through flow experiences. The author says that almost any activity in life can create flow, such as mountain climbing, baking, learning to dance, growing plants, sewing your own clothes, making furniture from scraps, and so on. These small pleasures and hobbies outside of our busy daily work will become a flow shelter in your mind, helping to soothe complex emotions, thereby adjusting and strengthening yourself. A person with high self-healing ability who can bounce back from difficulties is someone who, even when lonely and with nothing to do, will find something to do, instead of aimlessly pursuing societal rewards. They constantly focus on enriching themselves, filling themselves with a series of meaningful and fulfilling moments, enjoying pleasure without letting yourself get addicted, without becoming a slave to the pursuit of fun. In addition, to avoid mental chaos and not increase entropy, you need to keep your life balanced. Remember that anything taken to excess will become uncontrollable and create negative emotions. Furthermore, the author also points out another way to easily experience flow, which is to enjoy art and increase physical activity. By continuously enhancing our ability to appreciate art, we can more easily achieve a state of flow. For example, listening to music seriously and with focus. The soul's vibrations, stirred by high-quality sound, can also help a person enter the optimal experience. Besides that, physical activity is always a great way to reduce stress. When we challenge our body's limits, negative emotions like boredom, fatigue, and dissatisfaction will be released with our sweat, leaving a light body and a comfortable soul, making it easier to enter the flow state and lift yourself up from your suffering. In the book, Flow, there is a quote I really like. Anyone who can persevere through suffering and failure, their life will become a continuous flow. It is a series of experiences of wholehearted, consistent, orderly concentration that creates countless meanings and joys from that internal order. In the process of seeking flow, we inevitably have to endure loneliness when facing problems alone, or continuous boredom. But this difficulty and hardship are only temporary. They are the necessary challenges for you to grow. So, set specific, clear goals, concentrate intensely, love the work you do, be wholeheartedly patient and persevere, and you will become stronger than ever with the help of flow on your path of self-development. Thank you for listening. If you find this video useful, please share it with those who need it. Don't forget to give me a like, hit the subscribe button, and turn on the notification bell to watch the latest videos every week. Once again, thank you and see you in the next videos.